So this entire situation was really weird. It was obviously Kelsey Plum not and Napheesa Collier not being at the meeting, and there have been really like weird. I've been looking it up, and again, these are all. I'm not gonna spend too much time focusing on the conspiracies because there was a tweet from like hours before it was publicly announced who say that Fee and Kelsey Plum were not going to be at the meeting. And yeah, it was a bit of a weird one. It was a bit of a weird one all around when it comes down to it. Because the rumor was that they were not going to be at the meeting. And I don't believe this, by the way. But this was out there in the open before players went and before it was announced publicly that Kelsey Plum and Fee Collier were told not to attend the meeting. Don't think that's true by the PA itself. But it's weird. Something's weird because, as you guys can see, they have made it on a plane. And look, I've looked through it. As far as I'm aware, the planes took off. I don't know 100%, but like, look, I mean this when I say this. If they planned on showing up in person wearing full Unrivaled gear, nothing productive would have come from that. Nothing productive would have come from that outcome. Like, everything Indie Pictures was wearing Unrivaled merch. And I fully believe nothing productive would have come from that. That being said, I have to talk about this because that rumor now is getting more and more legs, and more than one person is DMing me being like, did you hear they weren't asked to go? I don't think that's true. I don't think that happened. I think it's probably for the best that they were on Zoom, because we saw it last year with the All-Star voting where Fee was wearing an Unrivaled top, and all she kept saying was, I'm signing my Unrivaled player, I'm signing my Unrivaled teammate. She mentioned Unrivaled at least 15 times during the All-Star voting last year, and the WNBA, of course, are going to be pissed at that. Because let's be real, this is absolutely a conflict of interest. And by all accounts, I'm going to talk about this a bit later, the meeting was positive. The meeting was positive with the league knowing what they have to do, seeing the player side, seeing what the players want, and the league have to come back with a proposal. My expectation is that there is going to be some form of a weird proposal where it's like you either get 70% of net revenue or 20%. The players want 20% of gross revenue, or whichever is higher. Because the owners I think will budge a bit. They're not going to go up to 30. The problem is that with no real communication, they're so far off at the minute, and all they have to do is get closer. And I think something's going to happen. For by all accounts, and Alicia Clark downplayed a strike. She downplayed a strike, but this one is just weird. Like, and first of all, I don't, considering the stress of this meeting, or like the importance of this meeting, like posting like social media clips running through an airport trying to get to a really important WNBA meeting in Unrivaled gear. I'm like, I don't really care, to be honest. I don't care about using social media. I'd be the biggest hypocrite in the world if it was. But it's like, when tensions are already there, and by the way, mostly between one of these two players and the league itself, because you then, for me, if Fee is there was not one Unrivaled person at the meeting. If Fee is there, it changes the entirety of the negotiations. Because you're not only negotiating with the PA and the league, you are suddenly then in conversations with another league. Another league gets brought into this. Like, I would not be surprised if Unrivaled and Project B were because at this stage, look, they're not going to stop players playing in those leagues. We know that. We know that's not going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't brought up in this meeting, if it was very little about these alternative leagues. But you better believe half the conversation would have been about the alternative leagues if it ended up being half the some of the biggest owners of Unrivaled there. So it's just, it becomes a weird situation, and I absolutely don't believe that they were told not to show up. That the players, the PA said, oh, we don't want them here. I think that's complete bullshit, and I don't know where that rumor started, but it's gotten enough legs. Somebody, I think, tweeted it out beforehand, and people are going back to like a random tweet, but it was a fucking random account who was not followed by anyone major, and maybe they do know something, but the odds of that are low. But that rumor is absolutely getting legs, so I have to talk about it. But I'm going to be real here. I think it was better for the productivity of the meeting, especially considering they had no proposal, where it could just be a talk between them and they can see where both sides are coming from. And the players aren't having to do anything, but they know that they're waiting on the league to come back with something. So I do feel like that is, like, it was productive, and I think it was significantly more productive without certain players there. Without certain players who absolutely, we are of the belief, publicly, are in the burn it down crew. And by the burn it down crew, it's the we're not budging under any circumstances and we don't care if we take down the league in the process. Like, that is what I will just refer to as the burn it down crew. And again, based on everything we've heard, and we know that there is a split between the people on the executive committee, between people that basically just want to move on and try to get other things and maybe bite the bullet on the rev split and get other things and get going, and some that want to not budge at all and want 30% and are saying we're getting that or we're quitting. Alicia Clark essentially confirmed that. So yeah, it is a real interesting one, especially when there's that type of divide. I just personally believe at this stage, and people are like, oh, like taking shots at Fee's character. It's like, in general, I don't think Fee's a bad person. I think what Fee's done in Unrivaled is incredible. I think it's hard to dislike Fee. It's very, very evident that Unrivaled and her hatred of Kathy Engelbert, just like in life, people's hatred of another person can, I'm not going to say cloud judgment, but like can affect the willingness to compromise if you're just like, fuck them. Like, at the end of the day, if you have a fallback and you're like, fuck them, I can just go play on Unrivaled, it does affect negotiating. It absolutely does. Especially because I stand by, I fully believe that Fee thinks that if the WNBA is going to go, Unrivaled will outgrow the WNBA. I don't think she's doing anything out of malice, but I do think it probably was beneficial she wasn't there. But I also don't think the league didn't want her there, or the players didn't want her there. So anyway, yeah, that is the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.